Hi, this is Ginger with A Life in Balance. Every musician knows that their music should be on pitch, so they are actively listening as they're playing their instrument. Strings that are struck more frequently or with more force will become more lax and therefore more flat relative to the other strings. A musician, upon hearing this, actively listening to their music as they're playing, will then stop and retune their instrument, either in between songs or even in the middle of a performance if necessary. Well, so that is analogous to how we use our bodies and what happens with our muscles when we're involved in repetitive stress. So some muscles are being used more frequently than others. So we begin to have the same situation happening where some muscles are shorter and longer than others. So our usage of our body and our relating to our life, things actually start to get out of tune. So what I'm suggesting is that we should follow the musician's example, and when we start to notice any discomfort in these repetitive stress areas, that we'll stop, take a break, listening to the body, and retune the instrument so that our song is in tune again. And that's what I would like to talk to you about today. Pushing versus listening. Our body is an instrument. So what is pushing? It's when we make a conscious decision to ignore our body's signal and to push on through those pain barriers and to accomplish tasks and get things done. Our employers, our coaches, and our parents all reward that behavior. So there is a reason for pushing. Our body has developed this as our emergency system. So it's great to have that in reserve so that when you meet challenge and crisis, you will be ready. The problem with this behavior is that people take this pushing skill and they use it as their day-to-day behavior, as a lifestyle. So by not listening to our body and pushing past pain, we begin to develop a chronic problem in the body. So when an issue is chronic, it's been there for a while and we've gotten used to living with it, and we're actually not accurately perceiving it any longer. And if we continue to ignore the signals and we're training ourselves to ignore it, we will become deaf to what our body is telling us. And this issue will continue to grow very gradually in the body, unbeknownst to us. We are no longer accurately perceiving what's actually happening in our own body. So to make matters worse, as we're having this chronic accumulation of symptoms in the body, also we are having aging. So our body's ability to repair and rejuvenate is decreasing, and there's a point, usually around midlife, where those two meet and the symptoms can really balloon into something that's really hard to deal with. So it's great that we have this pushing skill that we're going to hold in reserve. Now I'm challenging you to learn a new skill. This is the skill of listening, actively listening to your body through the day-to-day of your life. And when you hear, when you feel that things are out of tune, out of balance, you're going to find time in a non-crisis moment to check in and retune your instrument. So we start to learn the habit of listening by taking breaks from focused attention and checking in with our body. So many times when we're in deep concentration, we're not aware of our bodies at all. You may have had that experience at work when you've been really focused on something and you haven't felt your body for an extended period of time. So how do we learn this skill? How do we implement it in our life? Well, I like the music metaphor of doobie-doobie-doo. So the doing part is all the things that we have to do at work and our chores, a lot of the repetitive stress activities. We also have the being. The being is the undoing, it's the checking in, it's the listening, it's the retuning. So we develop a rhythm through the day of doing and being and doing and being and do. And as we do that, it gives us a strong, stable structure for our day, for our life. So I'm here today with my friend Babs, and we're going to be looking at how to really explore this chronic issue and what we can do about it. So as we've been discussing, it's a really good habit to try to develop that you're checking in throughout the day and creating a sense of rhythm of the do, as we've talked about before. And so I'm going to demonstrate with my friend Babs here a really nice technique to realign your posture as you're working through the day. You can stop and do this test and align yourself. So what Babs is going to do is she's going to lift her head as though she's putting on a turtleneck. She's going to lift her head up through the center of the top of her head, and she's going to tuck her chin just a bit, a little less, Babs, just a tiny bit, as if you're going, And at the same time, she's going to be sending the angles, sending energy down the outside angles of her scapula. And so now we're looking at the back of Babs, and we're going to demonstrate this posture. We're going to have her lift up on the top of her head as she simultaneously pushes down and out the angles of her scapula. This is creating a sense of traction. And can you see her body straightening and aligning? She also has her chin tucked, as we talked about before. So this is a wonderful position to be in as your resting state. So whenever you have a moment to stop and you notice that your shoulders are high or that you have tension in this area of the body, this is a great technique to stop and rebalance your body. So one of the physical manifestations of not listening to our body and not checking in comes in several stages. The first stage that many people notice is that they will have pain and tension, maybe an ache or a burning sensation in their upper back, their neck, and their shoulders. So that's the first stage of it. And if you're not able to address that, then what happens is the body will send stronger signals. So then you will begin to probably get headaches or perhaps even spasms. So extreme headaches or spasms are usually the body's cry for help. It's getting pretty desperate. If that is not heard and addressed, then the third stage is the body will begin to make actual postural compensations and change how your body is being held. And so you'll begin to develop hyperkyphosis in the back here, which is an extra rounding of this curvature, and a forward movement of the shoulders as the chin juts out. Now, you may have seen your auntie or a grandmother, some elderly person in your family that has this posture, and you can just tell by looking that this is not comfortable, it's not gravity friendly, and it's definitely not good for your muscle sets. So one thing we can do before we get to this postural position is we can learn to start checking in with our body, and we can learn these techniques that we've been talking about: how to relax, how to stretch, how to check in with your body and realign your posture throughout the day. Thanks for tuning in to my new channel, A Life in Balance. I'm so grateful that you joined me. What would you like to explore together? What topics are interesting you? I'd love to hear in the comments below.